Hi, I'm Willow. I never thought I'd be telling this story from a hospital bed, but life has a way of surprising you, especially when you have a mother-in-law like Margaret Thornton. We'd had our differences since I married her son Daniel 3 years ago, but I always tried to keep the peace. Willow, honey, could you stop by the pharmacy on your way home? My blood pressure medication needs to be refilled, Margaret had asked that morning, her voice sugary sweet as she stirred her coffee at our kitchen table. Of course, Margaret. I'll pick it up after my meeting, I replied, gathering my work files. Daniel kissed my cheek as he headed out. Thanks for helping Mom. She's been extra stressed lately. No problem, I said, not knowing those would be the last normal words I'd speak that day. My meeting ran late, way late. By the time I remembered the prescription, the pharmacy had closed. Hey, Lisa, I said, calling my sister-in-law that evening. Is your mom taking her medication regularly? I completely forgot to pick up her refill today. You what? Lisa's voice sharpened. Willow, you know how she gets without her meds. Did you call Daniel? He's in that client dinner. I'll just explain to Margaret and pick it up first thing tomorrow. I don't think that's a good idea. Remember Thanksgiving, when the turkey was dry? I laughed nervously. She threw a gravy boat. This is different. Just be careful. Call me if you need backup. When I got home, Margaret was pacing our living room, face flushed. Where have you been? She demanded, hands trembling. I'm so sorry about your prescription, Margaret. My meeting went over and... You forgot. You actually forgot something this important? Her voice rose with each word. I'll get it first thing tomorrow, I promise. It's just one day. Just one day. Do you have any idea what happens when I miss a dose? Do you even care about this family? She stepped closer. Daniel's college friend Carlos, who was staying with us that week, walked in from the guest room. Everything okay out here? I heard shouting. Everything's fine, I said quickly. No, everything is not fine, Margaret snapped. My thoughtless daughter-in-law has decided my health isn't important. Margaret, that's not fair, I protested. It was an honest mistake. A mistake? I'll show you a mistake. She grabbed the heavy crystal vase, our wedding gift, from the side table. Carlos stepped forward. Mrs. Thornton, maybe we should all just... I didn't see it coming. The vase struck my temple with such force that I crumpled. The last thing I heard was Carlos shouting for help, and Margaret's voice suddenly small. She made me do it. She knows how I get. When I woke up in the hospital, Daniel was holding my hand, his eyes red-rimmed. Oh my God, Willow, I'm so sorry, he whispered. I had no idea she would... Your mother put me in the hospital, Daniel, I said, my voice hoarse, over a forgotten prescription. The neurologist, Dr. Rivera, entered quietly. Mrs. Chen, you have a concussion and needed 12 stitches. You're very lucky your husband's friend called 911 immediately. What happens now? I asked. We'll keep you overnight for observation, she replied, then hesitated. The police are here as well. They'd like to talk to you about what happened. Daniel squeezed my hand. Willow, please. She's still my mother. I looked at him, really looked at him, and something inside me hardened. And I'm your wife, who's lying in a hospital bed because of her. This isn't the first time, is it? Just the worst. His silence was all the confirmation I needed. Officer Jenkins sat beside my hospital bed the next morning, notebook open. Mrs. Chen, I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Margaret threw a crystal vase at my head because I forgot her prescription, I said, wincing as I shifted position. Has she been violent before? He asked, pen poised. Daniel interrupted from the doorway. It's not like that. Mom has... episodes. She doesn't mean it. Daniel, I said carefully, tell Officer Jenkins about the gravy boat. His shoulders slumped. Thanksgiving. She threw a gravy boat at Willow because the turkey was dry. And the garden shears? I prompted. She waved them at you during an argument about pruning her roses? Officer Jenkins wrote rapidly. Any other incidents? She's 73 years old, Daniel protested. She needs help, not handcuffs. Lisa burst into the room, face tight with worry. Willow, oh my God. She rushed to my side. then noticed Officer Jenkins. "Are you pressing charges?" "I haven't decided yet," I answered. "Good," Lisa nodded firmly, "because this has gone on long enough." Daniel stared at his sister. "Lisa, what are you talking about?" "Mom's been doing this for decades, Danny. Why do you think Dad left? Remember Mrs. Peterson next door? The accident that put her in a cast?" "That was different," Daniel insisted. "Mom was under a lot of stress then. She's always under stress," Lisa countered. "And someone else always pays for it. This time it was Willow. Who's next? Your future kids?" The thought hit me like ice water. I turned to Officer Jenkins. "What are my options?" "Assault charges are warranted here," he replied. "Given the severity of your injuries and the witness statement from Mr. Reyes?" Daniel paced the small room. "You can't be serious, Willow. She'll be devastated. She loves you." "People who love you don't put you in the hospital," Dr. Rivera said, entering with my chart. "Mrs. Chen, your CT scan shows no bleeding, but this kind of head trauma is serious. Another centimeter and we might be having a very different conversation." "See?" Lisa gestured emphatically. "This could have killed you, Willow." "Mom would never intentionally," Daniel started. "Stop defending her," Lisa shouted. "This is exactly what she wants, you choosing her over everyone else, over your own wife." The room fell silent. Daniel looked trapped between worlds. "I need to know something," I said quietly. "Has she hurt you too, Daniel?" His hesitation spoke volumes. "She didn't mean to. I was 12. I broke her favorite teapot." Lisa closed her eyes. "He needed 20 stitches in his arm. Mom told everyone he fell through a window." "And that wasn't the only time, was it?" I asked, watching Daniel's face carefully. He stared at the floor. "There was the time I got a B in math. She locked me in the closet for 4 hours." "Jesus, Danny," Lisa whispered. "You never told me that one." "I was embarrassed," he admitted. "Thought it was my fault somehow." Officer Jenkins cleared his throat. "Mrs. Chen, would you like to make a formal statement?" I looked at Daniel, saw the conflict in his eyes, then to Lisa, who nodded encouragingly. "Yes," I decided. "And I want a restraining order." "Willow, please," Daniel begged. "There has to be another way." "I think there is," I said. "But it starts with consequences. Real ones this time." 3 days later, I sat at our dining table, bandage still prominent on my temple. The doorbell rang. "That's her," Daniel said nervously. "Are you sure about this?" "Completely." I straightened my shoulders as Lisa, Carlos, and Officer Jenkins took their positions. Margaret entered, looking smaller somehow, her eyes darting to my injury before quickly looking away. "Willow, darling," she began, voice wavering. "I've been so worried." "Sit down, Margaret," I said calmly. "I brought your favorite cookies." She placed a tin on the table. "Snickerdoodles. I baked them myself." "I'm not interested in cookies," I replied. "I'm interested in talking about what happened." She sat, hands fluttering. "It was a terrible accident. I wasn't myself." "An accident?" Carlos interjected. "I saw you pick up that vase and throw it directly at her." Margaret's face hardened momentarily before crumpling. "I was upset. My medication. You know how important it is. My heart condition." "Stop." I held up my hand. "This isn't about your prescription. It's about your rage." "I don't have rage issues," she insisted. "I'm a gentle person. Ask anyone." Lisa stepped forward. "Ask Dad? Or Mrs. Peterson? Or Daniel's arm?" "What exactly are you implying, Lisa?" Margaret's voice turned sharp. "That I'm some kind of monster?" "I'm not implying anything," Lisa replied. "I'm stating facts. You've hurt people, repeatedly." "That's ridiculous. Daniel, are you going to let them talk to me this way?" Daniel took a deep breath. "Mom, do you remember what you did when I broke your teapot?" Margaret waved dismissively. "Children need discipline. You were careless." "I was 12 and you threw it at me," he said quietly. "The remaining pieces cut my arm open. I still have the scars." "That's not how it happened at all," Margaret protested. "You fell." Through a window? That's what you told everyone, Daniel continued. But there was no window, was there? You're twisting things. Margaret's eyes darted around the room. Carlos, you understand, don't you? Families have disagreements. This isn't a disagreement, Mrs. Thornton, Carlos replied firmly. This is assault. You're all against me, she said, voice rising. After everything I've sacrificed. Margaret, I leaned forward. I'm pressing charges for assault. Officer Jenkins has the paperwork. You can't be serious, she gasped. Daniel, tell her she can't do this. Daniel took my hand. It's already done, Mom. Her face transformed, rage replacing the facade. After everything I've done for you? This is how you repay me? By letting this woman destroy our family? You did that yourself, I replied evenly. I'll never forgive this betrayal, she hissed, standing abruptly. Never! That's your choice, I said. But you will face consequences. Is that a threat? She took a step toward me. Officer Jenkins moved forward. Mrs. Thornton, I suggest you sit back down. Or what? She challenged. You'll arrest an elderly woman for disciplining an ungrateful daughter-in-law? Mom, please, Daniel pleaded. Don't make this worse. You're dead to me, she spat at him. Both of you. She lunged toward me suddenly, fingers curved like claws. Carlos caught her arm. That's enough, Mrs. Thornton. Take your hands off me. She struggled, then slapped him hard across the face. Officer Jenkins immediately stepped in. Margaret Thornton, you're under arrest for assault. As he recited her rights, Margaret screamed, She's turning you all against me. She's the manipulative one. Mom, stop fighting, Lisa begged. You're only making it worse. As they let her out, Margaret looked back, suddenly tearful. I'm sorry, Willow. I didn't mean it. Please forgive me. We're family. I met her gaze steadily. No, Margaret, we're not. Not anymore. The courtroom was quieter than I expected. 6 weeks had passed since the incident. My external wounds healed, though I still suffered occasional headaches. All rise, the bailiff announced as Judge Winters entered. Margaret sat with her attorney, looking frail and appropriately remorseful in a conservative blue dress. How are you holding up? My attorney, Vanessa, whispered. Ready for this to be over, I replied, watching Daniel take his seat in the row behind us. The proceedings moved quickly. Margaret pleaded guilty to reduced charges, assault rather than aggravated assault, part of a deal that included mandatory anger management, psychiatric evaluation, and a 2-year restraining order. When given the opportunity to address the court, Margaret dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I've made a terrible mistake, she began, voice quavering. I never meant to hurt my beloved daughter-in-law. I was simply not myself without my medication. I'm an old woman who loves her family more than anything. Judge Winters looked unimpressed. Mrs. Thornton, your history suggests this is a pattern, not an isolated incident. Your Honor, Margaret's attorney interjected. My client has no prior convictions. Because no one pressed charges before, I whispered to Vanessa. The judge continued. Mrs. Thornton, this court takes domestic violence very seriously, regardless of the perpetrator's age or family status. I'm accepting the plea agreement, but be advised, any violation of the restraining order will result in immediate jail time. I understand, Your Honor, Margaret murmured, looking down demurely. After the hearing, Margaret approached us outside the courtroom, her attorney hovering nearby. Willow, Daniel, she called softly. Please, can we talk? Daniel tensed beside me. Mom, you need to respect the restraining order. Just for a moment, she pleaded. I've been seeing a therapist. I'm taking new medication. I've changed. In 6 weeks? I shook my head. That's not how this works. We're family, she insisted. Families forgive. Not this time, I replied firmly. The restraining order is non-negotiable. Daniel? She turned to her son. You can't cut me out of your life. I'm your mother. And she's my wife, he answered. I choose her safety. You're choosing her over your own mother? Margaret's voice cracked theatrically. After everything I've done for you? Who was there when you had chicken pox? Who helped you with college applications? Who locked me in a closet for getting a beat? Daniel countered. Who threw a teapot at me? Who made me lie to protect you my entire childhood? That was different, Margaret insisted. I was under so much pressure raising you alone. You weren't alone, Daniel replied. Dad left because of your violence. That's on you, not him. Margaret's face hardened. This isn't over. You'll regret this. Is that a threat, Mrs. Thornton? Vanessa asked sharply. Because that would violate your probation? Margaret backpedaled quickly. Of course not. I just meant you'll regret losing family. Goodbye, Margaret, I said with finality, turning away. 3 months later, Daniel and I sat in our new apartment across town, sharing dinner with Lisa and Carlos. How's the new job? Lisa asked me, passing the salad. Challenging but good, I replied. The flexible hours help with my therapy appointments. And you? She asked her brother. How's the support group? Daniel nodded thoughtfully. It helps, hearing other people's experiences with manipulative parents. I keep realizing new ways her behavior wasn't normal. Like what? Carlos asked, genuinely interested. The constant guilt trips, Daniel replied. The way she'd weaponize her health issues to control us. Even the perfect times were manipulation, setting up debts she expected us to repay with obedience. That reminds me, Lisa said, pulling out her phone. Dad called yesterday. He's moving back to town now that Mom can't go near him either. How's he doing? Daniel asked. Good. Really good, Lisa smiled. He wants to meet you for lunch next week. Said he has 20 years of catching up to do. Have you heard anything from her? Carlos asked carefully. She sends letters, Daniel admitted. Through her lawyer. I don't read them anymore. The restraining order works both ways, I added. It's protecting us, but it's also forcing her to face her actions without an audience. Lisa raised her glass. 2 boundaries. And consequences, I added, clinking glasses. Later that night, as Daniel slept, I stood at our window overlooking the city lights. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It's Margaret, isn't it? Daniel asked, suddenly awake. I showed him the message. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I miss my son. What will you do? He asked. Forward it to Officer Jenkins, I replied, already typing. Document the violation and continue living our life without her in it. No second chances, he asked softly. I touched the faint scar at my temple. Some bridges can't be rebuilt once they're burned. And honestly, I don't want to. You know what? Daniel took my hand. Neither do I. I spent so long thinking we needed to fix things with her, he continued, voice steady. But sometimes the healthiest thing is walking away. My therapist calls it radical acceptance, I replied. Accepting that some people won't change and protecting yourself accordingly. To radical acceptance, then, Daniel said, wrapping his arms around me. And to us, broken free from the cycle. I leaned into his embrace, watching the city lights blur through unshed tears, not of sadness, but of release. To us. Have you ever had to cut someone toxic from your life? Was it worth it in the end? Share your experience in the comments below.